our scenario this time around was not global, but rather limited to a conflict between China and the United States, involving disputed jurisdiction in the South China Sea. 6 countries have claims in the South China Sea: China, Taiwan, the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Brunei. These claims largely overlap and set the stage for disputes and possible wars. The South China Sea is rich in oil, natural gas reserves, fishing rights, and other natural resources. The surrounding countries argue with specific island groups, Spratly Islands and Paracel Islands, and also use reefs, sunken ships, and dumps to create artificial islands that they fill with bases and military garrisons. The United States has treaty obligations towards the Philippines and Taiwan, which could result in the United States military engagement in the event of a dispute with China. This varied mix of controversial claims, natural resources, and complex deal networks has the ingredients needed to climb the Third World War. All it takes to start a war is a spark, such a collusion at sea or an attack based on false identity or misunderstood intentions. Such a war is probably inevitable. Our role was not to consider the use of aircraft carriers, submarines, or missiles in such a conflict. We were there to consider the use of financial weapons, such as disruption of payment systems, cyber attacks on banks and stock markets, and trade sanctions that could cut supply chains and drain energy imports. One of the main topics of discussion was the use of sanctions that included access to the Worldwide Association for Interbank Financial Telecommunications, known as SWIFT. Contrary to what most people assume, SWIFT is not a bank or financial institution. It is more like a phone company or internet service provider that facilitates communication between its members. SWIFT has more than 10,500 bank and asset managers as members and processes more than 5 billion messages each year, corresponding to paying trillions of dollars from one member to the next. SWIFT message traffic is literally the source of oxygen that keeps the global financial system alive. In 2012, the US and its allies successfully removed Iranian banks from the SWIFT system. This was extremely damaging to the Iranian economy and led to hyperinflation, bank transactions, instability, and social unrest until President Obama eased these tensions in late 2013. In our new financial war game, we asked what would happen if the roles were reversed. What if the United States tried to remove SWIFT from China, Taiwan, or the Philippines instead of banning their enemies from SWIFT? What if the financial weapons developed by the United States were adopted by China and turned against the US and its allies? These and other interesting scenarios were made for a long and lively day of debate among our expert team that came together for this exercise in the 21st Century War. I learned 2 lessons that day. First, when countries go into financial war, individual investors can suffer collateral damage. The most dangerous attacks are when the enemy enters a bank or an exchange, not to disable it or steal information, but to turn it into an enemy drone. Such a market drone could be used by attackers to maximize market disruption and the mass destruction of Americans' wealth, including stocks and savings. In this scenario, an attacker could enter the order entry system of a large exchange, such as the New York Stock Exchange, and place large sell orders on highly liquid stocks such as Amazon or Facebook. If China tries to attack the United States by closing the New York Stock Exchange, there will be tens of millions of Americans who will instantly lose wealth when prices drop and accounts lock or freeze. I advised the SEC and the New York Stock Exchange to buy a warehouse in New York and equip it with copper wire landline phones, handheld battery-powered calculators, and other pre-internet equipment. This facility will serve as a non-digital exchange with commercial locations. The SEC will allocate 30 major shares each to the 20 largest broker-deals, who will be appointed experts in these stocks. This will provide market making for the largest 600 stocks, covering more than 90% of all transactions in a typical day. Orders will be called from the wired analog phone system, and bids and offers will be placed by experts to leave broker crowd. Until recently, stocks were traded this way. Computerized and algorithmic trading will be banned as it is unnecessary. Only genuine investor interest will be represented in this non-digital venue. In the event that the New York Stock Exchange is closed by a digital attack, the non-digital exchange will become active. The US will inform China and Russia that this facility was a deterrent to a digital attack in the first place. If our competitors knew we had a robust non-digital plan B, they might not have bothered to launch a digital attack in the first place. The second lesson I learned was that future wars will be fought in cyberspace using digital technology applied to payment systems such as SWIFT, Fedwire, MasterCard, Visa, and Europe's Target 2 system. The answer to both threats, secondary damage, and digital warfare is to have some tough assets in physical form that are not digitally attacked. These include physical gold and silver, earthenware, and fine art. These are things that cannot be erased in a digital attack or frozen when payment systems are interrupted. Most of the idea, comment, information, and criticism containing in these videos have been created by Daily News Report. Before making any important investment decision, use the information contained in these videos as a starting point for conducting your own research. If you make any investment or legal decision, it is advised to consult an expert before making this decision.